And mentoring is one of the things in the HR space I will say that is a desire of most applicants. I don't have statistics around this, but I know that most of the young folks that I've hired out of college, that's the first thing they ask for. What's your mentoring program like? Who can I connect with? Who can I engage? But I also challenge them to say that mentoring is also a two-way street. It's not, hey, I'm young, I am new to this area, new to this space, person who has experience, teach me. You always want to be, as a mentee, looking at how can I also enrich my mentor's life, because it's a symbiotic relationship, right? Can I do something for you in this space, or I'm fresh eyes into a space? I always challenge any of the folks that I engage with. And also mentoring is not just for young people. I seek mentors all the time. I have actually two that are executives that are mentoring me right now, because I'm always asking, well, what do you see? Because it's always great to have other eyes that are kind of coaching you from a perspective where you can't always see. Also shop for mentors. Just because Marcus is 20 plus years experience and I am at a wonderful brand like Under Armour and I'm doing these things and you see this, doesn't mean that I'm the best mentor for you, because your time as a mentee is valuable as well. I've had people just run and say, okay, you want me to be your mentor, but we have really nothing in common. So how is this going to work? It's going to be, like you've mentioned before, something more forced in a corporate structure to where, Marcus, you're a senior manager, you're expected to mentor 3 people. Here's your list, or here's the pool, grab 3 people from this pool and pull them up. Great, but that is just a technical experience. It's not a mentor shaping growth experience.
This is Talent Without Pretense, where we metaphorically take the virtual backgrounds off and we have real conversations with HR leaders about what it's like, not just what you hear in the headlines, but what you see behind the scenes. And today we have Marcus Britt from Under Armour, and he's going to be talking to us about mindset and mentoring, because these two things are critical when we're talking about, in today's age, what happens when people come into work and they don't really have that part figured out. There are a lot of things that happen between the analog and the digital. We're going to be talking about what happens in between when you are faced with the fact that mentoring is critical, as well as, I'd say, mindset. So I want to welcome Marcus. Marcus, welcome for joining Talent Without Pretense. It's so good to see you.
Yeah, I'm so honored. Thanks so much for having me. I'm super excited about having a chance to talk with you today, Joe. Super excited about it.
But why don't you tell us where you're from? Tell us a little bit about what you do,
Sure.
company, all of that.
Yeah, so I am a country boy from the South. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina, born and raised. I currently live and reside in Charlotte. And I am, what I would say a weird bird. I am part IT person, part HR person, right? I've been in both industries for about 25 years. Started my career in the traditional IT realm of working in the help desk, moving from that, moving into cybersecurity, data center design. And I had an opportunity from one of my mentors, a leader in HR, who gave me an opportunity to say, hey, have you ever thought about working in HR? And I'm like, I'm an IT person. I have a computer science degree. What do you mean working in HR? And she was telling me, say, you have a great way with people and you know technology. And I'm looking for an opportunity for someone to lead my HR technology team. So I made that leap into the great unknown, and it really was transformational for me, Joe, to have an opportunity to see really a different side of the business, become a consumer of technology versus a deliverer of technology, and it really opened and broadened my horizon. So super grateful for that opportunity, and since then I've been equal parts HR and IT for my career. I had opportunities to work with some great brands, Coca-Cola Consolidated before, and also Under Armour now. It's been a great ride. So again, like you talked about with mentoring, that opportunity to see something that wasn't necessarily there, I may not have seen myself, had a great mentor, Laura Vaughn, who was really helpful in me making that transition. So excited to be here today to talk more about mindset and mentoring and how it shaped us.
Wow. So did you all hear that? How mentoring is extremely important. And we're going to get into that because Marcus has a unique story when it comes to mentoring that I want you all to be paying close attention to. So the first question that I'll ask you is, let's probably go all the way back to earlier in the career, right?
Mhm.
Know that mentoring is important, But when you have a new hire, they just came out of college, they're about to get their first job, and they say, "Can I get a mentor?" What goes through your mind with how you would coach them in that particular moment?
Well, that's a great question, Gerald. So one of the things, and I actually have several college students I'm mentoring now, and when I asked him, what do you mean by that? Because mentor is a word that gets thrown around a lot, but it means different things to different people, right? Because in a lot of spaces, like you talked about being hungry and really wanting to go after it, mentoring is what I would say is innately human, right? Whether it's your siblings, you have a big brother or a big sister, or in the sports world, we're the sports brands. I talk in sports analogies all the time, Gerald. Whether you're the freshman coming on and you have a junior or a senior to kind of help guide you and show you the way, it gives you a confidence because we as humans connect. That is
Yeah.
one thing that's innately human, right? One of the worst things you can do to a human is separate them from all other humanity, right? With isolation. So everyone wants to have someone who kind of knows the way to teach them the ropes, to kind of help them to go fast but not get into a situation where you're making mistakes or you're making a bad impression. And mentoring is one of the things in the HR space I will say that is a desire of most applicants. I don't have statistics around this, but I know that most of the young folks that I've hired out of college, that's the first thing they ask for. What's your mentoring program like? Who can I connect with? Who can I engage? But I also challenge them to say that mentoring is also it's a two-way street. It's not, hey, I'm young, I am new to this area, new to this space, person who has experience, teach me. You always want to be as a mentee looking at how can I also enrich my
Mhm.
mentor's, life because it's a symbiotic relationship, right? Can I do something for you in this space or I'm fresh eyes into a space? I always challenge any of the folks that I engage with. And also mentoring is not just for young people. I, Gerald, seek mentors all the time. I have actually two that are executives that are mentoring me right now because I'm always asking, well, what do you see? Because it's always great to have other eyes that are kind of coaching you from a perspective where you can't always see inside your own skin. 'Cause you're in your own skin. Sometimes you don't see yourself. I've
Yeah.
found I've been more critical of myself or more, just not focusing on the right thing. Mentors are like, hey, no, that's the least of your concerns. Work on this one thing. Oh, that was great. What are you talking about? It wasn't that great. So I've really gotten a good perspective on myself from that. So that's what I would say in the mentor space.
Mm. I was trying to like come back and look within myself of how it worked for me. I never had I paid for coaching, so they were obliged to work with me. And it wasn't necessarily mentoring, but it was much more coaching and they were very direct.
Mhm.
And then I had situations where I actually had a program within the company that would match senior leaders with people who just came in, right? But it
Right.
was I don't want to call it forced because a lot of the people still got a lot out of it, but it was expected if you were in a director or a director above role that you would be participating in mentoring, but it
Yeah.
was essentially forced. So
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you this particular question versus it being organic or being institutionalized. We know that we want the result to be the same, but do you think that there's a difference between when a company structures it or when you just, somebody reaches out to you and says, "Would you be my mentor?" and there is no structure?
Yes, absolutely. And this is and I've been fortunate enough, I take this as, an honor when someone asks, hey, can you mentor me? Or, hey, can you mentor my son? I've had, parents come and say, I love how you've moved and I see your character. I want you to mentor my son. I say, hey, I'm open to mentoring, but there has to be a mutual connection to that point where if I'm looking at a young person, I say, gosh, you remind me of myself. And there's a connection to where if I could go back to younger Marcus, this is what I would say. So if you have that connection where I see myself in a younger person or someone who's younger in career, that's one aspect, Gerald. But then there's also, hey, I can mentor you in the science of HR technology, and we can go through the processes or SDLC from a technology perspective, from the development lifecycle perspective. So I think both of them are valuable, but one is more technical and the other one's more human connection and personal. They can both have spaces, right? Because I am of the mindset to where I have multiple mentors. And I have some mentors where it's like, hey, I'm in my head. Help me get out of my head right now because this is what I'm thinking about. Or I have mentors who are very technical and say, okay, Marcus, you need to sharpen your skills in this space, right?
Mm.
So I think as you are looking for mentors, and there's one thing I ask of anybody I mentor, there's one request. I said, please do the same for somebody else. That's
Mhm.
my only ask. That's my payment, if you will. If I'm going to mentor you, you now find someone or make yourself available to be a mentor to someone else and pay it forward, because that's what really shaped me. One of my greatest mentors, Ray Snyder, helped me spiritually, professionally, personally. Right, he was always an open book, and he was available to me. He didn't really give me advice, Gerald. He was more so like, let's think this through, and gave me insights. And that's what I think, that connection, let's call it connecting mentorship in a personal or, more human space versus mentorship in a more professional space. Both of them are valuable, but I think you got to kind of understand the difference between the two. You can get both in the same package, but it's okay to say, hey, I got a mentoring program through an organization and it's forced on us, but it's still good because I'm gaining experience and knowledge from that perspective. So I don't want to make one seem like it's bad or not, but I think you have to be very mindful that they have different potentials and different outcomes, but all of them are good for the development of a person in
Mm.
their career path.
Okay. And you've experienced both
Yeah,
sides.
I have experienced both, and in the HR space, one of the key components that we're seeing, especially from a value proposition for as new talent coming in, they want to know, hey, what's my mentoring path?
Mhm.
Because I want to understand how to move in this organization and then matriculate quickly, because I want to ascend quickly. So, what's the mentoring strategy? Can I get a mentor? Can I get someone who is, senior in my space and help me make those progressionary steps, right? Long gone are the days where applicants are coming in and say, hey, I'll sit here and work for 10 or 15 years and kind of sit and wait my turn. People are coming in hungry and they want to move quickly. So one of the best ways to do that is having mentorship. And it also gives you just such a confidence where it's like, okay, I kind of know the ropes. Like think back to freshman year in college and finding a upperclassman that says, hey, okay, this is what you got to do. These are the ropes. Like, don't go to, this at this time, the cafeteria is just blitzed. So don't go at that time. Or these are the teachers you got to necessarily look for and connect with them early. And having those pointers and those tips are so valuable, and it just increases the experience. So what
Mm.
we're seeing in the HR space is that I have a much better experience when I have mentors and collaboration and connection in my working environment versus not having mentors and feeling like I'm just here for the work. Most teammates, and from our experience, do not like that experience. They want, I'm here for the community, the collaboration, the environment, and the work. And when you have a good experience in all those spaces, Gerald, retention rates go up, is generally what we see in the HR space.
Retention is also critical, is what you
Very
should
much so.
be talking about. Could probably go all off the rails on that. I want to go back to the mentee
Hmm.
mindset should the mentee have when they come into this experience. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because I'm part of a coaching program. And when I first came in, the person was very emphatic with me. They said, you're building a business. We are going to be here to guide you, but don't expect us to sell for you or
Hmm.
to guarantee new business. And I
Hmm.
thought that was pretty interesting because I'm like, as a startup, the only reason why I want to have some sort of group around me is that they can actually help me sell. But that person made it very clear that that's not what this is for. Now,
Sure.
I've been with them for over 2 years. It's been a great relationship and I've learned so much. But my mindset before I went into it had to change because
Hmm.
initially I was like, they're gonna help me connect in Charlotte. They're gonna help me
Hmm.
meet all of these people, and then I'm gonna be able to actually grow and further my business. And that was so far from what actually happened. So
Yeah.
using that type of lens, when the individual, and I'm gonna say new, fresh out of college, they get into a corporate space and they're looking for mentorship. You alluded to it a little bit that it's a two-way relationship, but I
Sure.
am really curious, what should the mindset be of
Right.
the individual?
The mindset should be, I'm looking for again, sports analogy. Sorry, Joe, these come so naturally to me, but I'm looking for a fitness instructor that works out with me. So I'm doing the workout, but I have a fitness instructor right here next to me and say, hey, Marcus, your form's off. But we're doing the workout together. So the best mentor mentee relationships I've had is where people are hungry. So I don't know exactly the experience that the entity that you connected with had with other startups like yourself. But what I've had experience with some mentees is like, okay, you're my mentor, feed me. And I'm like, wait, no, that's not what this is about. This is
Uh,
not about that. This is about we are both actively in the space. We're both playing golf on the golf course, Gerald, and we were looking at how we engage and how we connect. And then I'm looking at your swing, you're looking at my swing, and we're working it together. So the best way to think about it is it's active. You have to be hungry and you have to go get it. Because that's the best mentor mentee relations I've seen where someone like you is coming in and say, I am really wanting to learn about, Marcus, HR technology and how APIs work and how the HR business uses technology and some of the gotchas and things that you've seen and data retention and policy. I'm like, okay, that's great. But let's slow down and let's first talk about these other components here that you're missing because you're giving that mentor something to work on. You're not just saying, hey, pour into me. I'm like, well, I don't know your deficiencies. I don't know what you may think is a deficiency is actually a strength
mhm,
because I'm in the market and I can see, Gerald, you have all of this going for you. You don't need to focus on the technical. You need to focus on this, people component that you have or a connection component, right? So I think that's the biggest thing is where it's not a consumer mindset. It's a productivity, engagement, collaboration mindset that a mentee needs to have because you want to also shop for mentors. Just
mhm,
because Marcus is 20 plus years experience and I am at a wonderful brand like Under Armour and I'm doing these things and you see this doesn't mean that I'm the best mentor for you. So you
mhm,
want to be very, very cautious of who you connect with because your time as a mentee is valuable as well. Because I've had people just run and say, okay, you want me to be your mentor, but we have really nothing in common. So how is this going to work? Right? It's going to be, like you've mentioned before, something more forced in a corporate structure to where Marcus, you're a senior manager, you're expected to mentor three people.
yeah,
Here's your list, or here's the, the pool. Grab three people from this pool and pull them up. Great, but that is potentially, Gerald, just a technical experience. It's not a mentor shaping growth experience. It could be, but if it's more, Gerald, you and I have so much in common, we have a similar story, we have similar interests, we can now build and connect in a possible deeper level than if we were just, hey, I'm your partner. You got peered with me through the corporate mentoring program. Let's go ahead and get this 13-week process started and let's get something out of it, get some outcomes, and then on to the next one, right? But that's not a bad thing either. That's some things that's happened. It's also, I've had those situations and those have been valuable as well. But that's what I would say the mentees and the mindset has to be, I'm going to work out, but I'm going to work out with experts and they can watch me work out and help me change my form. But I'm actually doing the work. I'm doing all the reps. I'm doing the sweating. I'm doing the engagement in the workout. But they're, hey, modify your form a little bit, Marcus. You're going to hurt yourself. You're going too fast. Or slow down a little bit, Marcus. But I'm actively in the workout. I'm not like, hey, work out for me. You're my mentor. You work out great. Your
right,
body's in great shape. Do it for me, right? Or
yeah,
let me
yeah.
watch you. Let me just sit here and watch you work out, right? Like that's what you don't want to have.
All right. So since we went down that path, I'm going to open up the door for the other path. So the Bible talks about this a lot. There's one thing that it makes me chuckle, but it was pretty interesting. There was a point where the men were famished, right?
Mhm.
They were pretty much about to die because they didn't have food. So they started picking up these wild things from the ground and whatever was available, and they put it in the pot, started cooking it. And then one of them was like, "There's death in that pot," right? Because they could see that the herbs in there just wasn't going to make sense and could potentially kill you. And
Right.
Elijah goes and creates some meal and he throws it in there and saves the day. But when you have a poisonous situation where it's not a good fit, how do you determine that? And what signs should you be looking for when you're only going to do a disservice to them?
So Gerald, let me ask you this follow-up question because I want to make sure I answer that correctly. Is it a situation where, hey, I am a mentor and I have a mentee that's not a fit? Or is it a situation to where I'm realizing this person that I'm around is toxic and they're dragging me down and I need to get away? Or is it both?
No, no, I'm mostly focused on now the mentor realize
Hmm.
that they're not the right person for
Got it.
the mentee. And
Yes.
they didn't come to the realization initially. Started working with them for a little bit, and all of a sudden they're like,
So
my
man.
kind is I don't want to. lead the horse to water. But my point being is you are the experienced mentor, and now you're identified that this mentee is not something I'm not going to be able to help them.
Yes. And so I think there's two facets to that. One is the mentee is not, let's say the mentee is not engaged. To my example before, they're not doing the workouts with me and they're not engaged. That's a quick conversation. I'm always clear as kind, right? And say, hey, listen, my time is valuable. I I need to, we got to get something out of this. I want to see you as a mentor. I want to see you grow and say, hey, I had a place in this person's ascension or maturation. I get a lot of value from that. Gosh, I really helped that person. I feel fantastic. I was helping them reach their goals, right? That's one thing. The other one is not as common, and it really takes someone who has to like swallow the pride is say, I can't help you because I don't have what you need. And I think that is very, very difficult for a lot of mentors to acknowledge the fact that, hey, Gerald Gordon is way past where I am, and I really can't help this person. So I need to move on. So I think as a mentor, you have a responsibility to say, and this is where structure comes in, because this is one of the things I always, when I mentor, I have structure, at least a 30, 60, 90-day plan or something to where, hey, what are your expectations? What are my expectations? What are your expected outcomes? What do you want to gain from this relationship? And set that table at the beginning and say, okay, this is what I need from you. This is what you're going to get from me. And then we kind of walk through the process and make sure we have check-ins and say, hey, is this still valuable? Right? That's number one. Because sometimes people say, hey, mentor me. And I say, okay. And then there's no plan, right? That's tragedy waiting to happen. But I will say that as a mentor, I have, and this scenario's happened to me, to say, hey, I really don't have anything for you. You already have what you need. I can be your cheerleader, but I think you'd be better off with a colleague in this space because they have more, because you need more knowledge mentorship. You don't necessarily need mentorship that I can give you because I've been paired with people who have a skill set, Gerald, that's outside of my skill set. And I had to quickly say, hey, I'm here for you, but you're asking me more questions about your professional growth, and I'm not in that space to help you. And
Mhm.
that's a perfectly fine conversation for a mentor to have and a brave one that they should have. Now, if you want to talk about these aspects of what you're going through that I can't help you with, I'm happy to do so. But I think you'd be better off with Gerald because he has experience in the engineering space and I'm in IT. So
Yeah.
let's do that. But again, how I try to quell that is by having that upfront conversation. Say, okay, what are your expectations? What are you
Mhm.
trying to gain? Because for the mentor, a toxic mentee is someone who comes to you and says, mentor me, but I have no understanding of what I want to gain, right? Because if I'm going to a mentor, let's say there's a gentleman who's mentoring me right now, he's an executive at a bank here in Charlotte. I'm like, hey, I want to understand how you operate. I watch you operate. I watch how you function, and you have this quiet strength. I'm a very boisterous personality, which isn't a negative thing, but I watch how he operates, and I'm like, I want to learn and glean that from you, how you can operate and be in a room and lead and be quiet. And that's a superpower, right? You're leading by example. You're leading by energy. So I explain that I want to have, and we work out together. We do a lot of things together, Gerald. So that's what I would say. But it's very, very, very important for a mentor to analyze and assess, am I doing well by this person? And also mentees, just because somebody's willing to mentor you doesn't mean it's a right fit. And that's okay. It's okay to say, hey, this isn't a good fit. I'm going to look for some, I really appreciate you. I want to stay connected with you, but this is not necessarily where I need to be right now. And it's a great conversation to have.
Mm. All right. So let me think about it from the other side. I know that there are people that feel that mentorship is about the giving aspect, that I just feel like I want to give something to someone else. But is that always the case that the mentor only receives the satisfaction of sharing their knowledge with someone else? Or are there other factors that they get in this mentee mentor relationship that people should be aware of?
Absolutely. I think that has never been the case for me where it's been a one-way street. I've always gained, if not gained more from the experience. Because when you think about my matriculation through even the technology space, how much has changed, Gerald? I don't like people are in college now and they're working through AI and agentic solutions and what when I was in college, I'm dating myself here, but when I was in college, mainframe was going out, we were moving to client server, and we had, the cloud was just something that was kind of being birthed at the time. And there's so many different insights and perspectives, right? So I feel everyone is valuable. one of my mantras when I talk to like my teams or my groups, anybody I'm leading is pour in what you got. To your point about the Bible, where people are picking up the things from the ground, and putting it in the pot. My thing is, we all have something to give. So
Mm,
pour in what you have, right? So if you're being a mentor, pour in what you got. If you're a mentee, pour in what you got, and together you create,
mm,
right? And so I've learned so much from my mentees. I'm like, wow, I didn't realize this is the way things are now, and the way that you've experienced life and commerce is so much different than me. I'll give you a quick story, Gerald. We were one of my, I guess, gold star moments in my career was when I helped the electrical utility I used to work for in Charleston move from a manual process of open enrollment in the HR space to a fully automated digital process. There was a lot of gnashing of teeth and a lot of pushback on that because it was so new, it was a change. And one of the things that I realized is with this older process, it required visitation to the sites and people had to talk to you. You had to walk up to a benefits, a person and like fill out paperwork. And my younger folks who were coming into the workforce had no desire to do that. They didn't want to talk to people. If it wasn't on an app, they were not going to do it. So we were missing out on engagement for this whole demographic of people because it wasn't a multifaceted experience. It was a one-way experience. And if you preferred the white glove, high touch paperwork, then you loved it. If you didn't, you loathed it.
mm.
So we created an environment where it was multifaceted to where there was entry points for every demographic. And so I saw that, okay, wow, now enrollment's way up because we can do it on a phone and do everything on their phone and they're good to go. They don't have to talk to anybody. So I would say that like when you look at the entire perspective of mentoring and connection, it's so important to have, alignment with people and connecting in those spaces, Gerald, to where you have just a focus on everyone because really again pouring what you got. So we were kind of missing and we got feedback from them that we had never participated before. They gave us feedback that was valuable feedback. Oh wow. And it led us to being able to create a whole new feature to where we had an online portal that was open all year round because a lot of the feedback was like, hey, well, we got like 3 weeks and I don't know. I want to do some more, deciding, can we have this available outside of open enrollment? I'm like, well, now that we have the technology, sure. You won't be able to enroll, but you can see it. So that was something that we gained, right, by having the additional feedback that should come in. So again, I say pour in what you got, mentoring and engaging with people. Everyone has valuable feedback, even the mentees. So I want, if any mentees or potential prospective mentees are listening to this amazing podcast, be hungry, reach out to mentors, but also think, how can I serve my mentor? Not as just a one-way street. I'm a consumer. I'm just taking from my mentor. Hey, I want to connect with a Gerald Gordon or a Marcus Britt, but what can I offer them? Can I help them? Can I give them insights and be symbiotic? Those are the mentees I love to work with because it's like, well, tell me what your experiences are now in the market. What do you look for when you're shopping? Those things of that nature. So that's how I see it. I got a lot from my mentees as well. And I hope I gave them something back in return.
Sure. Even from listening to you speak, you light up when it comes to mentorship. And I absolutely love to see that. All right. So I'm going to jump into something pretty heavy now.
Okay, let's go for it.
Give you a little warning. Okay. So you're now working with the mentee and they're missing the mark. You've given them some time to try,
Mhm.
prove, but now you got to have the hard conversation.
Yes.
What goes through your mind? What steps did you put into place? And how do you help share the difficult message? Of course, in love, but
Mhm.
there's something that you got to do within yourself before you deliver that message. So, what
Yes.
does Marcus do when he has to deliver not so great news to
Yes.
the mentee?
It's not easy, but I always say clear is kind. So I go back, Gerald, to one of my key moments, I guess you would say, one of my story moments in my college career. I'm actually still connected to Dr. Jermaine Hampton now as one of my great friends. And he was one of my mentors during, I was able to participate in a science program at the university I went to, which is the South Carolina State University. And I didn't have confidence a lot in myself. And I was kind of meandering through jail, kind of doing it and getting there and kind of like, just kind of going there. And he just sat me down and said, listen, you got to want this more than I do. And if you don't, I got other things to do. And he
Wow.
just walked off. And I was like, dude, okay. And I was like, from that moment on, I was like, you know what? He's right. This is my future. This is what I need. And I want this. It's not for him. He's giving up his time and it's a disrespect to him, and I'm not honoring him in showing up. So
Mm,
it was a switch that lit, and and that's why I love mentoring, because that was a moment that shaped me to be like, nobody here owes me anything. And that's a privilege to be here in whatever aspect I'm in. Like, I'm so excited to talk to you, Gerald, and have the opportunity to be on this podcast. And hopefully someone will hear this and it may light a fire under them. But we are all we need to really get started. Is mentoring helps shape us and see things that we don't see. Like, I will say, as a mentor, I've never given a mentee something they didn't have.
mm,
All I've ever done is saying, "Hey, you don't see this, but you're an amazing communicator. You just haven't framed yourself in that. You look at yourself in this light. You're a swan, but you're looking at yourself through the lens of, a duck. And you're thinking that I don't fit. Yeah, you don't, because you're a swan. And that's mostly what I've done with my mentees. It's like helping them see, oh, you're amazing at this. I've seen you operate in this space. And so that's where I have that conversation quick, because a lot of times it's a lack of confidence. It's
mm.
not lack of competence, it's confidence. And people, what I've learned, and I've had to work on this with myself, I will show up for you, Gerald, more than I show up for myself.
Yeah.
And I had to switch that, right? What do they say when you're flying on an airplane? The mask comes down, put your mask on first, right?
Yeah.
So you have to make sure, you have, we say this in our church all the time, you have to love God completely, love yourself correctly, and love others compassionately. And
Mm,
it's like, you have to really think about myself. And I really want to lock in and dig in and do the best I can, because I don't want to live with regrets. I will lose, and I don't mind failing as long as I've given it my all.
mm,
Failing when I haven't given it my all lingers. And I've had that happen to me a couple of times in my life. So I want to give my mentor, a mentee, the opportunity to say, hey, you're not showing up. And this is not, I had other mentees do this, and you're not where they are. So you have two options: start showing up or do something else. That's fine. Either way is fine. And it
wow.
may seem harsh, but clear is kind,
Yeah.
right? I would rather you tell me if I'm heading towards a brick wall at breakneck speeds than versus, all right, let me just not say anything because it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be a lot more uncomfortable when I hit that wall, right? So I think that's the approach I take, and that's what, again, what I talked about. Sitting down with my mentee and kind of building out strategy. What do you want? What do you see in me that you want to grow in, or why did you ask me to mentor you? And having those questions and framework and framing it up. Say, okay, I think we should probably have like a 3 month time frame where we kind of walk through these things, and I can help you, but this is what I expect from you. And if you don't do these things, we're going to have a conversation around my time is valuable and other people want to mentor with me too. So let's make sure that we make this valuable time for both of us.
Wow. I love the maturation in this discussion. So we started at the beginning of this is what happens when you're green. This is your mindset. Then we moved into, okay, what's the relationship supposed to be like? And why is it important that you have the right mindset? Then we moved into what do you do with the hard conversations?
Yeah.
I wonder, this is the same thing that is supposed to happen with the manager employee relationship. Because when I think about when you mention mentee, mentor, I see player coach, see advisor, I see therapy. Like I'm seeing all of these things. Is it wrong for me to say that the mentee mentor relationship does encompass all of that? Or there is something different between a coach and somebody who's giving you advice and somebody who's doing therapy that's different than when you are looking for somebody to mentor you?
Man, that's a great question, Gerald. I would say no. I think I said earlier, mentoring is innately human. When I think about, like, even how I've had to shift, I am blessed to have four beautiful children, three daughters and one son. And I've evolved from daddy with toddlers to daddy with teenage girls, right? And an adolescent son to I will evolve when I become, my daughters go off to college. Lord help me, I'm not ready. When my
Yeah.
daughters go off to college, and then when they become young women and they have their own families, it will still be that. And as I've seen them, like you said, the word you used was great, maturation, to where I was really kind of like hovering over them for their safety physically. Now I'm kind of like coaching them for their safety mentally, socially, psychologically, financially. So I'm still that mentor and that safety net for them, but it's a different realm. I'm not trying to, like, treat them like a toddler and they're 16 years old. So I
Mm,
think, yes, that is very key. And there's one. Ken Blanchard used to use this. It's the situational leadership model.
Yeah.
So I love that model. I use that with my team all the time. And if you guys look it up, it's a great model for you to use where it has the development and the support levels, and it gives you 4 versions of each, and you have to align. So when it comes to doing podcasts, right? I've done podcasts before, have some conversations, and I kind of understand, okay, I got it. The first time I did a podcast, I'm at a development level 1 where it's like, I need a lot of support, right? There's a mantra, I think they use this in healthcare: see one, do one, teach one.
Yeah.
And it's a model for training. I love that model. I've done it throughout my career, even though I haven't worked in healthcare. And it's so great. That's mentoring. So, hey, first watch me. I'm going to show you how, right? Then I'm going to teach you. Then you actually get to do one. And now you teach somebody else. Again, remember I said before, what do I say to all my mentees? You go and do this to someone else now, because that's going to help galvanize the mentor-mentee relationship. When they become a mentor, now it starts to click even more. So I think, Gerald, that's the proper way to look at this from an ethos perspective of humanity. And there's different levels of player coach or parent child or supervisor teammate, to where there's a certain level of care and understanding, because you don't want a dictator. I think the difference between a dictator and a mentor is that I'm connecting and understanding, Gerald, what do you need? Where are you? How can I help you? There is a mutual respect. Yes, I am, let's say, offering you advice, or not advice, that's the wrong word, offering you guidance in a space, but we are both individuals and we both have, to learn items to learn from each other. I happen to know more about HR technology, and I'm mentoring you in that space because you're entering that space now. But it does not mean that there is a lack of respect. Or what I've also talked about, a heavy topic here, is that, I'm your mentor, so you're subservient to me. I
Mm,
hate that. I've never done that before. It's like, hey, we're together, we're peers.
yeah.
We're on the same team. If you're a freshman and I'm a senior, we're going to win together or lose together. Now,
Right.
I'm a senior, so I have more responsibility than you, but you're a freshman, you may make the winning play, and that'll be awesome, and we win together.
Mm,
That's the attitude I take with my teammates, to say, I am a leader and I'm accountable, but you have just as much respect, opportunity, voice, space that I have. I'm not better than you. We're both humans. Now, naturally, the buck stops with me because I'm the manager, right?
mhm.
But you have the opportunity. If you see something wrong, say something. If you see an opportunity to make significant changes, let's talk about it, right? So that's where I see that you are spot on when you think about mentorship, because I've had some of my mentees be afraid to make that conversation or that step, or say, hey, I want to ask. I mean, hey, ask for mentors. What's the worst they can say? No, thank you. I'm busy. Okay, no problem, right? Maybe, I can't, but I know somebody who else can. It might be great with you. I've never been afraid to ask questions, and I've never been afraid of no. No does not scare me, right? I am a big proponent of, I am going to try, and I'm not going to say that I didn't, swing the bat or shoot my shot,
Yeah.
right? I'd rather say, hey, I struck out, but I swung. I didn't just stand there and hold my bat the whole time,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
I feel much better with that, because I've had situations in my past, and things I've learned was that I didn't even really try. What would have happened if I would have swung and hit the ball, right?
Right.
I didn't take a swing. And
Right.
even if I take a swing, I can learn, okay, I need to learn. My swing was way too late. Let me try to learn, because that's really life. And I'll say this, one of these things I don't have my bottle here. I'm surprised I don't have it on the desk, but I have a bottle of Formula 409. Shouts out to Formula 409, right? That story taught me such a great lesson about life and iterative trying, and focusing and failing forward, because that's really the key to success, right?
Mm,
Nobody who's successful said, hey, I did everything one time. I one shot everything.
no.
Nobody, right? Nobody's done that. And the scientists who developed that formula in Detroit, Michigan, failed 408 times. So my kids roll their eyes every time. They're like, Daddy, I tried, I didn't do it. I'm like, let me get the bottle. Like, okay, never mind, I got it, right? Oh, here he goes with the 409 story again. But it's such a great story where, they didn't give up. And what if they were stopped at 300 or 402? So I know that failure is a pathway to success. And I want all the mentors or mentees, because there's some mentors who may want to mentor and are afraid to, like, I may not have what somebody needs. You got experience and you
Yeah.
have time. That's really what mentees need from mentors, is time and experience. So hopefully, if anybody watches this podcast, they will go away with, hey, I want to get active because in this world that we're moving into, Gerald, where there's so much technology and so much disruption and orchestration is going to be something that we're going to all have to do and AI connection, working with agents, mentorship is going to be super important for us as humanity moving forward. These times don't scare me. This is just a next disruption. But us having collective knowledge and working together as a collective is really going to help us be successful. And I think mentorship is just a way for us to be able to propagate that and help energize and encourage each other.
Yeah. Man, this is such a powerful conversation. If you really think about it, if we can get people to just listen and understand that they have a little bit more agency when things
Mhm.
the way that you expect them to be, and that can literally change by just one person speaking life to you or being in your corner or being a mentor. I'll share a story that I think would be appropriate here. I remember in my middle part of my career, I was a senior manager, leader at that time, and I wasn't happy with the way things were running, where what we were delivering, how we were delivering it. And I expressed it in a sprint. If you all do any of these software development things, the agile and the sprint.
Yeah.
And while I was a leader, I wasn't a leader of the team, but I was a leader in the organization. And I just felt like we're doing everything wrong. Right. And so, and I'll never forget this. I'll say CG because I don't want to call out his name, but he pulled me aside and he said, you know, Gerald, your ability to see what's happening before everybody else because of the experiences you have is a good thing. But you need to learn how to get people to understand what you're doing and how you see things without you saying it.
Ooh,
I
that's
was
deep.
like, "What do you mean?" He said, "Nobody likes somebody that knows all the answers. But if you can be a person that can help people come to their own conclusions by guiding them, you're gonna drive more impact versus just telling everybody how you feel." And I had to really sit with that because what he
Yeah.
was saying to me is, "You up until this point in your career, you saw value in your knowledge, and therefore you just shared your knowledge wherever possible."
Right.
But real leaders are ones who help everybody around them get better.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't like the advice when I first got it. As I started thinking about it, I started to become what they call a force multiplier.
Right.
One that comes in, they may have answers, maybe not the answer, but they may have answers. But instead of me just saying, this is what I've seen before and how we should do this, come in and say, okay, I see the lay of the land. I wonder what would happen if we tried this.
Hmm.
Same result. I'm trying to get a belief change. I'm trying to get them to see something different than just doing the same thing over and over again, but I don't have to be the one to say it.
Right.
It's like,
Man,
woo,
that
deep.
is that is deep. That is mentoring. You just encapsulated it because the mentor that gave you that advice honored you and didn't say, "Hey, you're a know-it-all." Nobody wants to hear that. There was a deep sense of respect for you and also respect for people who have different understandings, different perspectives, different stories, and all of that has to come together. And leaders can understand, okay, I understand the lay of the room. I have a senior driven team, and my seniors are driving these things. So this person has been here in a football analogy for 4 years. So they've been here 4 years. We have folks who are just new and they have the heart, but they haven't earned what they've earned. But that doesn't mean that there's less value in them. It's just a different perspective. And leaders can say, hey, I want to bring everybody in to understand. And then, like you said, honor. So that's the biggest thing in my experiences and how I mentor people is honor. I want to honor our time. I want to honor the fact that you saw me fit to be your mentor. I take that very seriously. And I also want to honor this space. I don't want to waste time. I don't want to waste your time. Like question you asked before is like, hey, if you're the toxic mentor and you're not helping that person, I'm like, hit the eject button quick. Let's start over because
Mm,
again, I want to get you to somebody who can help you because I want to honor you in that space. I think that's so valuable. And that story, Gerald, is really what helps everyone because now it could have gone different. It could have been a situation where you became dejected and
yep.
you kind of went, leave the company or go a different path. or people just reject your knowledge because they don't necessarily understand it. I had that same experience when I came into the HR space being an IT person, and I see all these manual processes, and my process brain and my brain's going like, we can automate this and automate this and automate this and automate this. But I took my time and I said, let me understand your story. Why do you do the manual processes you do? And that's when I learned, okay, for them, it is a way that they can take care of people because benefits is a very, very personal thing. It's not something that's flippant, right? It's a big deal. When you're engaging benefits, it's your family, it's your loved ones, it's your life and health, all of that. So I said, okay, I'm going to use technology to enable you to do more of that versus just, this is crazy. Why are you guys, doing all this manual stuff? And on paper, Gerald, yes, you could say that. But when you start to realize it's an emotional connection to this, let me honor that and let me give them a technology solution that gives them the same ability to have high touch. But then with the technology, there's no paperwork. So you can actually spend more time with your team and more time in the field connecting with people and use the iPad and have them sign into their benefits and be done right then and there, right? Versus carrying boxes of paper back from the sites that you have to go back later that night and key all that stuff in Excel. So I think it's so important. I think you really hit the nail on the head. And what I want our listeners to understand is that there's an innate human connection with mentoring. Because really, when people are asking, I want a mentor, they want a human connection to guide them through this pathway. And then it's symbiotic because you have an opportunity to learn as a mentor and give as a mentor, and you have an opportunity as a mentee to learn and give. And it's just at what level it is and what you can share. So it's a great story. Thank you for sharing that. That's fantastic. I love that story, Joe. It's just such a great reminder of how to also take feedback. It's one thing we hadn't touched on yet, right? You have to know how to take feedback. And even though it may be sharp, it's not personal. Again, back to my story where Mr. Hampton kind of just called me out, right?
Yeah.
You're loafing, you're wasting my time. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, that hurt. But it was a good hurt because it ripped the band-aid off of my, insecurities and allowed me to really prosper. But I had to take the feedback because he was right. He had other things to do. And a lot of students would have loved to be in the position I was in, Gerald, to have an actual mentor, senior that's in the space mentoring me and working in a NASA-funded program on college campus. That's an amazing opportunity, right? And I'm meandering around with it, and it's like I'm not being respectful of anybody else around me who would have loved to have that, right? So I think we all, when we wake up in the morning, we're thankful we have the day. We should honor that by doing the best we can. And I think that's just to me, that's what makes mentoring so special for me in that space.
We can probably go on, but we have come to our time. So, Marcus, do you want to leave something with everyone? The last piece that we'll say here as we
hmm
close out pretense.
Yeah, I think this is such a poignant topic, right? So I will say that think about mentoring without pretense. Think about the ability to be able to connect and engage and learn and share. And wherever that is, right? I think all of us need to really focus. And I think even post pandemic, some things were robbed from our society as far as the ability to connect. So drop the titles. And if you have something you want to share, if you have knowledge you want to learn, get into spaces, connect with professional groups, look at opportunities to mentor and engage because it's such an enriching experience. I will tell you, I love it because I learned so much and I never have a situation to where that was a waste of my time, right? I've been such a beneficiary of the people that have asked me to mentor them. They've given me probably more, if not, if not that I've given them. So I will say, let's look at this as we move into this new era of, AI and technology enablements. Let's go ahead and connect without pretense. Let's mentor. Let's engage. Let's look at the opportunities we have to share and share knowledge and connect with help people grow and meet their goals.
Man, I absolutely love that. So, for everyone listening, my name is Gerald Gordon, and I am the host of Talent Without Pretense. But also, I am a business owner, and my role is to help companies when they lay people off or there's rifts. We want to treat those executives with dignity and respect. So, if you're interested in getting more information about that, you can just find me online everywhere under reference me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.